And people use the word victim so much, and I don't really think we spend a lot of time really unraveling the idea. But if I said to you, Jay, how are you doing today? And you said, well, I'm really upset because of this person or this circumstance or this condition in my life, then what we're saying, this is not conscious. This is an unconscious program. What we're saying is somebody out there is actually controlling the way I'm feeling and the way that I'm thinking. So if something out there is controlling your feelings and your thoughts, you're victim to whoever, whatever that is. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is when things go really well, then you are feeling really good. But when things aren't going very well, then you're feeling pretty bad. So then the end result of that is that many people then become unconsciously reliant on something out there to change how they feel and hear. But if they don't understand that they're creating reality all the time, and they're living in lack, in unworthiness, in separation for their whole entire life, waiting for the event to happen to take away their lack or emptiness, well, they'll spend their whole entire life wishing, wanting, waiting, hoping. And so then that creates further separation from things changing. So then the idea then is to turn that battleship around. Is it possible then that the way you think and the way you feel can begin to produce effects in your outer world? Now, that isn't something that you swallow in one bite. It's a process of gaining knowledge. It's a process of practice. It's a process of experience. But once you start seeing those synchronicities, those coincidences, those opportunities that start to fall into place because you're experiencing change in your outer world, if you're doing the work, you're going to start paying attention to what you're doing inside of you that's producing the effect outside of you. And once you correlate the changes of what you're doing inside of you with the effect you produced outside of you, you're going to pay attention to what you did and you're going to do it again. And all of a sudden, you're going to start believing more that you're the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life.
When we activate the alert or emergency system, it changes something within us. Our response to a perceived threat throws us out of balance, pushing us into survival mode. In survival mode, we want to rush through tasks, unable to be fully present. Fear and hostility dominate our thinking in this emotional state. The sympathetic response, the emergency switch being on, prepares us for something unpredictable, an unknown we can't control. This survival system taps into our animal nature, using up our body's vital resources meant for health and regeneration. While it's beneficial in the short term, repeatedly triggering this rush of energy conditions us to it, teaching people to self-regulate, guiding them back to the present moment, and helping them shorten their emotional responses is crucial. Reacting is natural, but the key is how long you let that reaction last. Prolonged reactions hinder your ability to perceive changes in your environment, making you more affected by it. The process involves getting back to the present moment, self-regulation, and transforming fear into other emotions. This practice not only does the emotional work, but also signals the immune system. Energy is redirected towards healing, repair, and creation. Instead of losing energy, you gain it. This energizes the immune system to combat invaders, viruses, and bacteria. By being less emotionally responsive, you become less physically responsive to your environment, gaining more energy. Empowering people with this knowledge allows them to make different choices, demonstrating new behaviors and creating new experiences. As you apply this knowledge, your biology changes, and you start to step away from your old self. This transformative journey is what we encourage, where biology adapts as you learn and grow. Often I set aside time, like an hour, to connect with people. Blind people gaining sight, deaf individuals hearing, and stage 4 cancers going into remission. Tumors vanishing from various parts of the body, even in children. One memorable tale is about a nurse in London who had a stroke, causing blindness in both eyes' lower quadrant. Clinically blind and unable to work, her life took a toll. After trying various doctors with no improvement, a colleague suggested our program. Initially, she just wanted to learn coping strategies, not expecting to heal her vision. Halfway through, something clicked, and she decided to give it a shot. During a meditation, she felt a crackling in her brain, and when she opened her eyes, she had fully recovered. It's stories like these that make our work incredibly rewarding. We have medical scans proving her blindness. The before scan shows darkness between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. After our event, the Monday morning scan reveals no black spots, complete recovery, a total change in her vision. She's still doing well today. We saw her in Munich in February. It's incredible. Going from clinically blind to seeing clearly is another level of inspiration. Now, a lot of you are expressing gratitude, which is fantastic. Before we move on, type in the chat what you're most grateful for today. Gratitude is essential for positive energy and clear thinking. It's a field of love and positivity that helps us make better decisions. Research shows that when you feel gratitude, your body reacts as if something favorable just happened to you. The emotional signature of gratitude is powerful. It signals to your body that good things are coming. Your body can't distinguish between an actual experience and an emotion you create with your thoughts. So, feeling gratitude for your future elevates your energy, making that future feel more real. Just 10-15 minutes of gratitude a day can boost your immune system by 50%. The gland in your heart center, the thymus, releases chemicals that strengthen your immune system. This internal army protects your cells and sets your body up for resilience against the external environment. Gratitude is like a natural flu shot, building your internal defense against challenges. To me, this situation is a fantastic opportunity cleverly disguised as a seemingly impossible challenge. I won't face this challenge with the same level of consciousness. I need to elevate to a higher level of awareness and consciousness. This means creating, inventing, and finding new ways to connect, influence the Earth's field, and shape different outcomes in reality. It's not about one person. It's about a new consciousness emerging, free from fear. Living in fear gives power to what we fear, and we don't want to be victims of our circumstances. Instead, we should create different circumstances. Facing this challenge as an opportunity for a greater consciousness to emerge, a collective consciousness that sees through the illusion of separation. We can connect in a field of information, creating one mind and one heart, like birds flying in formation or fish swimming in a school. We need to step beyond relying solely on governments, churches, or medicine to take care of us. It's a moment in history where we must take care of ourselves. Let's not wait. Let's create. Maybe we're here for an awakening and we can't be afraid, angry, or resentful. This different frequency of consciousness will allow us to see things from a higher level of mind. Simply changing everything around you won't necessarily change your DNA if you're still unhappy. Your dominant emotion keeps certain genes expressed. Changing your mindset, thinking differently, feeling differently, and acting differently in a new environment can potentially lead to the expression of new genes and positive changes. However, if you have a positive environment but don't shift your mindset, you could still be in a negative state emotionally. Your mindset is crucial as it influences your state of being and how your genes respond to the environment. And that's the scoop on that. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to share. The environment around your cells is vital, but the internal environment of your body is equally important. The emotion you feel is what signals the genes and cells. When you experience an emotion, it's information from your environment coming through your senses. This information instructs your genes, leading to the creation of new proteins and expressions of new life. However, staying in the same emotional state is crucial for this change to persist. When you combine a clear intention for your future with an elevated emotion, stronger than past shocks or betrayals, you condition your brain and body for the future. The strongest emotion becomes the signal for gene expression, shifting the focus from the external environment to your internal experience. This way, you're not waiting for circumstances to change. You're actively creating the change. How many of you believe that your thoughts have an impact on your life, that the way you think is closely tied to your future? If you think your thoughts shape your reality, then consider this. You have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Shockingly, 90% of these thoughts are the same as the ones you had the day before. So, if your thoughts are connected to your life, it means that the same thoughts lead to the same choices. Those choices, in turn, lead to the same behaviors, creating the same experiences. And these experiences generate the same emotions, which circle back to drive the very same thoughts. Your biology, neural circuitry, neurochemistry, hormones, and even your genetics are influenced by how you think, act, and feel. This combination is your personality, shaping your personal reality. To create a new life, you can't stick to the same personality. You need to examine your thoughts, become aware of your unconscious patterns, and modify automatic habits. Look at the emotions tied to your past and question if they belong in your future. Many people attempt to change their reality while maintaining the same personality, but that doesn't work. You literally need to become someone else. Your brain is a reflection of everything you've learned and experienced until now. It's like a record of the past. To create a new life, you must transform and become a new version of yourself. So, let's say you start your day by following the same routine, waking up, hitting the alarm, heading to the bathroom, sipping coffee from your favorite mug, showering, driving to work, interacting with the same people, and repeating the same familiar tasks. The question is, did your brain undergo any changes on that day? In the realm of neuroscience, there's a crucial principle. Nerve cells that fire together wire together. This means that if you consistently think the same thoughts, make the same choices, and perform the same behaviors, you're essentially hardwiring your brain into specific patterns. As you repeatedly fire and wire the same neural circuits, they become more connected and established. By the time you reach around 35 years old, according to scientific findings, you become a collection of memorized behaviors, automatic habits, emotional reactions, beliefs, and attitudes. Think of it as operating like a computer program where your body knows how to perform certain actions better than your conscious mind. Why is this significant? Well, 95% of your behaviors, attitudes, thoughts, beliefs, and emotional reactions are driven by subconscious programs. But here's the key. When you learn something new, you're forging new connections in your brain. Learning involves creating fresh synaptic connections, a physical manifestation of your interaction with the environment. This process leaves behind the footprints of consciousness, and it's what we call learning. In the year 2000, Nobel Prize laureate Kandel made a fascinating discovery about our brains. He found that when people learned something new, their brain connections doubled, from 1,300 to 2,600 connections. But here's the catch. If they didn't review, repeat, or remember that information, those connections started to fade within hours or days. Imagine learning as creating new connections in your brain, and remembering as maintaining and sustaining those connections. This week, you've been here to absorb crucial information about crafting a future driven by a vision, rather than being confined by past memories. Here's the deal. If you lack a vision bigger than yourself, if you're not passionate about that vision, you're stuck with the old hardware of your past in your brain. Without a compelling vision, you remain predictable in your life. So, Let's agree that new thoughts and information should lead to new choices, which should trigger new behaviors, creating fresh experiences that bring about new emotions. This process forms a loop, and we call it evolution. If your brain is essentially a record of the past, and you lack a vision for the future, you end up living in the past. If you wake up without being inspired by a vision that excites you and pulls you out of bed, you'll likely repeat the same routine, controlled by the old emotions stored in your body. The key to true change is thinking greater than your environment, circumstances, and the conditions around you. Think beyond the familiar, just as historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, and Joan of Arc did. They all envisioned a future so vividly in their minds that they started living as if that reality was already unfolding in the present moment. So, when you finally decide to break free from the same old choices you've been making, brace yourself because it's going to feel uncomfortable. This is the point where you're steering toward your new self, and we like to call it stepping into the river of change. Now, let's keep in mind that a whopping 95% of who you are is ingrained in your body. Your body has become so efficient at certain actions that it often takes the lead, even without you consciously realizing it. Picture this. You might have been complaining unconsciously for a while because your body has gotten used to it. But the moment you decide, no more complaining, blaming, or feeling sorry for myself, your body starts sending signals to the brain. It's like your body has been conditioned to follow this pattern, and suddenly you hear thoughts in your head saying, "Why not start tomorrow? Tomorrow will be a better day. This is too hard for me. I can't change. Something's wrong with me." The excuses pile up, and it's easy to attribute blame to external factors. However, if you respond to these thoughts as if they're true, you end up making the same choices, engaging in the same behaviors, reliving the same experiences, and feeling the same emotions. This cycle leads to a sense of comfort and familiarity, keeping you tethered to the old self. But here's the game changer. Transitioning from the old self to the new self involves stepping into the unknown. It's like undergoing a biological, neurological, chemical, hormonal, and genetic transformation, a metaphorical death of the old self. Some may fear the unknown, stating that they can't predict their future in that space. Our response is always the same. The best way to predict your future is to create it, not from the known, but from the unknown. Did you know that every day you think around 60 to 70,000 thoughts? Surprisingly, about 90% of these thoughts are just repetitions from the day before. It's like a loop of the same ideas on a continuous reel. If you believe that your thoughts influence your life, then it follows that similar thoughts lead to similar choices. The same choices result in identical behaviors, which in turn create indistinguishable experiences. These experiences generate the same emotions, forming a cycle that reinforces your initial thoughts. Your biology, neural circuitry, neurochemistry, hormonal balance, and even your genetic expression are all intertwined with your thoughts, actions, and feelings. This combination is what we call your personality, and it shapes your personal reality. If you wish to alter your reality, create a new life, you need to start by examining your habitual thoughts. Awareness is key. Observe your automatic habits, paying attention to your emotions tied to past experiences. To create a new personal reality, you can't remain the same person. Many attempt this change while holding on to their old selves, but it rarely works. To truly transform, you must become someone else entirely. Consider your brain as a reflection of your past experiences. It's a record, an artifact of everything you've learned until now. If your daily routine remains constant, from the side of the bed you wake up on to the finger that turns off your alarm, your brain doesn't experience significant change. So here's the question. Did your brain undergo any transformation on a day when your actions and thoughts were identical to the day before? Imagine thinking the same thoughts, repeating unconscious actions, and living with familiar emotions while secretly hoping for a change in your life. There's a neat principle in neuroscience that goes like this: nerve cells that fire together wire together. So, if your thoughts, choices, behaviors, experiences, and emotions follow the same patterns, your brain gets wired in a specific way. Think of it like creating well-trodden paths in your brain. By consistently firing and wiring the same circuits, they become more interconnected. It's like forming a signature for your brain. By the age of 35, scientific studies suggest that we've become a set of memorized behaviors, unconscious habits, automatic emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, and attitudes, just like a computer program. Repetition plays a crucial role. When you do something over and over, your body becomes proficient at it, sometimes even surpassing your mind. About 95% of what we do, think, and feel are subconscious programs. This matters because, as you're here to learn new things, every bit of new information forms new connections in your brain. Learning is essentially forging new synaptic connections, the physical proof of your interactions with the environment. In fact, a Nobel Prize laureate in 2000 discovered that learning one piece of information doubled the number of connections in the brain. However, if you don't review, repeat, or remember that information, those connections fade away within hours or days. So, learning is making new synaptic connections, and remembering is sustaining and maintaining those connections. If you lack a compelling vision or passion, you're stuck with the old hardware in your brain, making your life quite predictable. So, let's think about this together. If you want something new in your life, it starts with having new thoughts and new information. These new thoughts should guide you to make fresh choices. These different choices, in turn, should lead to new behaviors. And when you engage in new behaviors, they create entirely new experiences. These novel experiences then generate new emotions, and those fresh emotions influence your thoughts again. This cycle of change and growth is what we call evolution. Now, if your brain is like a record of the past, and you don't have a clear vision of the future, you end up stuck in the past. Feelings and emotions are like the leftovers from past experiences. Memories stick better when you remember how things felt, right? When you're in the middle of an experience, all your senses gather data from the world around you. This information rushes back to your brain, organizing neurons into networks, and a chemical reaction occurs, creating a feeling or emotion. So, if you're feeling the same way every single day, it's like nothing new is happening in your life. And if those feelings are guiding your thoughts, you might be stuck because you can't think beyond how you feel. Some past events may have emotionally marked you, maybe with sadness, guilt, shame, unworthiness, or insecurity. These emotions are rooted in past experiences. When you feel them, they trigger certain thoughts, creating chemicals that make you feel the same way. This repetitive cycle conditions your body to remember that emotional state even better than your mind does. In essence, if you can't think beyond your current feelings, you're essentially thinking in the past. Breaking free from this cycle means embracing new thoughts and emotions for a fresh perspective on life. So, here's the thing. Many folks spend most of their lives talking about why they never reach their dreams. It's often tied to some past experience that left a mark. Feelings and emotions, you see, are like the aftertaste of past experiences. Think about it. You vividly remember your first kiss, your wedding, or the birth of your children. These are joyous memories that create long-lasting impressions. But then there are memories connected to tough times, disappointments, traumas, the kind of memories that stick around. Now, If you haven't overcome those emotions that keep pulling you back into the past, you end up telling a story about why you are the way you are. I am like this because of something that happened to me 15 years ago, you might say. Or, I am like this because of an event 30 years ago. From a biological standpoint, it means you haven't been able to change much in all these years. Here's a surprising fact. Scientific American, a respected magazine, says that 50% of what you talk about from your past isn't even entirely accurate. You make it up. Why? Because your brain isn't the same as it was 15 or 30 years ago. So your brain and body end up living in the past. Thoughts, are like the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. If you consistently think insecure thoughts, in a blink, you start feeling insecure. Your brain notices how you're feeling and throws more insecure thoughts into the mix, creating a loop. This cycle conditions your body to become an expert in feeling insecure. Before you know it, you're saying, I am insecure. And when you declare I am anything, you're steering your mind and body toward a destiny. All right, let's break this down. How do people usually change? Typically, they wait for a crisis, trauma, or some major hiccup in life. It's like something has to go wrong, and they feel so uncomfortable that they finally decide to make a change. But why wait for the tough stuff to happen? My message is simple. You can learn and change not just in times of pain and suffering, but also in moments of joy and inspiration. It doesn't have to be a crisis that pushes you to evolve. Now, here's an interesting fact. Your brain is like a record of the past. If you're living by the same emotions that have defined you for the last decade, and thinking the same thoughts that create the same chemicals, your body, acting as the unconscious mind, can't tell if it's a real past experience or just an emotion created by your thoughts. So your body thinks it's stuck in the same old experience every single day. Here's the key. You can create a new future while holding on to the emotions of the past. When you react to something or someone in your life, there's a chemical change happening in your body. Most people think they can't control these emotional reactions. But here's the thing. You have a choice. If you don't know how to control your emotional reaction and let those feelings linger for hours or days, that's when it becomes a mood. Keep that mood going for weeks or months, and it turns into a temperament. Stretch it for years and you've got yourself a personality trait. The point is, you have more control over your emotional reactions than you might think. People who wear their emotions on their sleeve often identify themselves with those feelings. They tend to talk about the past to justify why they aren't creating the life they truly desire. Now, imagine waking up in the morning without a big vision inspiring you, without something that gets you out of bed and excited about the possibilities. If you wake up dwelling in the past's old patterns and emotions stored in your body, you're in for a repetitive day. Here's what might happen. You'll open your eyes, see the same faces, go to the same places, and do the exact same routine at the exact same time. Suddenly, your external environment takes control of how you think and feel. Your brain has a set network for every person you know, every place you go, and everything you do. When you see the same people and engage in the same activities, it triggers familiar circuits in your brain, making you think in sync with everything you already know. If you believe that your thoughts shape your destiny, sticking to the same thought patterns means you keep creating the same life. To truly change, you need to break free from this cycle. Real change is about thinking beyond your environment, circumstances, and the conditions around you. Historical figures like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, the Wright brothers, and Joan of Arc understood this. They had a vision so vivid in their minds that they lived as if that future reality was happening in the present. A big thank you for sticking with us till the end of this insightful journey. Your engagement means the world to us. If you've enjoyed the content and found it valuable, Don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. It's like joining a community of like-minded individuals, and you wouldn't want to miss out on the fantastic content we have coming up. And if this video resonated with you, guess what? The fun doesn't stop here. Check out the videos on the left and right of your screen. They're hand-picked with just as much care and packed with interesting insights. Trust me, if you liked what you just watched, you're in for a treat with those. So, hit subscribe, explore more, and let's continue this journey together. Thanks again for being a part of our community, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.
Thank you.